the most auspicious months of all the months is the month of Kartik. And for devotees, what they practice during the month of Kartik becomes so intense that they're difficult to keep it in under their throat. You see, when you eat too much, you burp. That's why in Hindi there is a saying called bhakti, uh, bhak, uh, bhak, what is it called? Something like bhakti ka dakar or prachar, something I can't remember now. Maybe somebody else could remind me that there is that saying. So anyway, the point is, when devotees practice intense sadhana, that they become so full that it overfills, and it starts to come out. And that outpour is called, prachar means bhakti ka dakar. There we go. I remember that in Hindi now. So only one, Srimad Gauragovind Maharaj used to say that only somebody who has life can preach. Even Srila Prabhupada has said this. So I'll just read something very small while I think Amritananda Prabhu has joined in. Anyway, okay. This is Prabhupada. Your program of door-to-door Sankirtan is very encouraging. The more men understand the importance of our movement, the more they will invite us to their homes and clubs, because Krishna consciousness is a life-giving ambrosia. What is it? It's a life-giving ambrosia. So increase this program more and more, and we shall be able to distribute all our books, which is even more important than membership. Of course, we can do both at the same time. That is the best. So I'd like to welcome Amritanand Prabhu, who's just joined us to give us his association. Um, Amritanand Prabhu, a lot of you, or quite a few of you, may not know. So I'll keep his introduction brief, because I don't have enough mouths or enough words to glorify this Vaishnava. However, just to say a few things about him, Amritanand Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj. Um, he is an amazing devotee, a great friend to me. But more importantly, apart from my wife who introduced me to Krishna consciousness, the first devotee outside my family was Amritanand Prabhu for me. So he became the biggest reason of me taking or starting to practice. I'm still practicing Krishna consciousness. In those days, Prabhu used to work in hotels, and that was also my background. So we could really gel together, and we were able to connect together. So he used to invite me to his place. We used to have programs, and I used to go late purposefully, thinking that just as it will be the time of prasadam, I can enter, have prasadam, and leave, because I wasn't so much interested in hearing what was happening. But every time I tried to do that, Krishna tricked me, because I would reach thinking it's time for prasadam, and the lecture would just begin, because the person who was supposed to give lecture would be late that day. I know all of you must be laughing. So that was my story. And that's how I began my Krishna consciousness in Ban Hill, where Amritanand Prabhu used to live in a community of few other devotees together. He's also um, studying Srila Prabhupada very deeply, very intensely, and also looking after some devotees in his Sangha, and has a wonderful family. Shweta Mataji is his wife, two daughters, Annapaini and I forgot Amritan, who's your daughter's name just now?
Ananda.
Ananda. Annapaini and Ananda. So I'd like to welcome you, Amritanand Prabhu, for our chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita session. Very happy to have you, Prabhu, and really excited to hear from you. What I would request you, Prabhu, I'm going to make you host now, in case if I'm not there for the whole duration of the program. So what you could do, Amritanand Prabhu, is open the Veda base and share your screen. So there'll be two devotees who are going to um, recite the Sanskrit. One will recite Sanskrit, the other will recite English, Prabhu. So I've given you the thing to share your screen. So Rajesh Prabhu is reciting in Sanskrit, and Pooja Mataji will do English.
So, Prabhu, you want me to share the screen or
Yes,
Veda
Prabhu.
base?
So if you go to Vedabase and open up with the advanced view and remove the purports, just the Sanskrit and translation, then and you can scroll through the screen as the devotees are reciting, Prabhu.
Okay, 1 second, Prabhu.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. So Amritanand Prabhu lives very close here in Queensbury area, not far. He lives locally, and yeah, I've known him, Prabhu, since 2008 actually, when I got married, and my first program was in his association at his place. Okay, so over to you, Amritanand Prabhu.
So is this a good view, Prabhu, or what?
Yeah, if you click, just click on go up, Prabhu, you'll see the where is the, not here, the default view. Click on default, yeah, and then advanced, and then you can now select, Prabhu, just deselect, like click on purport, Devanagari, and synonyms here. And now you can just scroll through, Prabhu, as the devotees recite the verses. So over to you, Amritanand Prabhu. Welcome to the chat program, chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita. Very
Thank
happy
you,
to have
Prabhu.
you, Prabhu. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. So Rajesh Prabhu and Puja Mataji, over to you for the recitation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So I will try my best to do justice to those verses, but forgive me for any inaccuracy in speaking the Sanskrit. I think we start from 20 onward, is my understanding.
Oh, yes, Amritanand Prabhu. Sorry,
right.
take us to text 20 because we have divided the chapter in two parts. So from text 20 till text 35, Prabhu. Yeah, starting at text 20. Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
So I will start now. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Bhavapi Vikramscha Gunam Chaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be meaningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature.
Karya Karana Kartrate Hetu Praktir Uchyate Purusha Suk Dukkanam Bhoktrvate Heturuchyate.
Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world.
Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhunkte Prakriti Jangunan Karanam Gunshangvasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu.
Can you please scroll up, please, for the English translation? The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species.
Updrasta Anmananta Cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapi Yukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Para.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
Ya evam veti purusham prakritam cha guna saha sarvata vartamano api nasa bhuyo pichyate.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Dhyanen tmani pashyanti kechit atmanam atmana anya sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare.
Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires.
Anyatu evam ajanata Shutvan Veya Upasate Te Api Chatiranti Eva Mrityum Shutti Parayana.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also translate the path of birth and death.
yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam stvara jangamam kshetra kshetrajna samayogat tatvidi bharatashava.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashatu avinashantam ya pashyati sa pashyati.
One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees.
Samam pashyan he sarvatra samavashtatam shavaram na hinasti atmanam tato yati param gatim.
One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination.
Prakritya eva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah ya pashyati tatamanam akartaram sapashyati.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
Yad bhuta pritak bhavam ekastam anupashyate tat eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyaya sartra sto api kontaya na karoti na lipyate.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
Yata sarva gateyam sopmashayad aksam no palipyate sarvatra savestito dehe tathatmatam no palipyate.
O son of Bharat, as the sky due to its subtle nature does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body.
Yatha prakshayati ekah krishtanam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata krishtasnamam prakashayati bharasa.
O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illumines all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness.
Yatha prakashat ekah krishtanam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata krishtanam prakashayati bharata.
O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
Kshetra kshetragnyor evam antaram jnanana chakshusa bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param.
Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. You both read so nicely and inspired us. Divinam Prabhu, you want me to start with text 22?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, you can bring the text 22 on the Veda base and start from there, Prabhu. Yes, thank you.
And translation as well, yeah?
Yes,
Purport as
Prabhu.
well. Okay.
Yes, Sanskrit translation, Prabhu. Yes.
पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् गुणान् कारणं गुणसङ्गस्य सद् असद्योनिजन्मषु पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् गुणान् कारणं गुणसङ्गस्य सद् असद्योनिजन्मषु. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The living entity in material world, nature, thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities migrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another due to his desire to lord it over material nature. He is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometime as a demigod, sometime as a man, sometime as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances. Yet he is under the influence of material nature. How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position. This is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since the time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the science of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to his hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In a Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. Umagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm very grateful that Divyanam Prabhu has invited me, and there are so many senior devotees more senior and more glorious here. So please give me your blessings so I can share something. There are senior devotees here who I know for a very long time, and they have been very inspiring in my devotional life. So I seek your blessings before I can speak something on this verse. Um, this verse is very important verse, and in context of Bhagavad Gita, and as Prabhupada refers here, chapter 2. Again, this verse is also linked with chapter 14, 15, and 16, where in 15, verse 15, Krishna is talking about the banyan tree, imperishable banyan tree, and how the living entities after death they go up and down. Some go to heavenly planet, some go to hellish planet. And similarly, in chapter 16, divine and demoniac nature, Krishna again explains in connection with this verse. So this verse is very significant verse, and this verse is also called Mahavakya because it kind of explains how a living entity in this world transmigrates from body to another body. Like in chapter 2, we discussed that a living entity changes the body like changing of garments, but how is that new body defined, or how do we know which body one is going to get is based on is explained in this verse. So purushaha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. So purusha means living entity, prakritisto hi means living in this material world. Bhunkte means to enjoys, or enjoys prakriti jan gunan. So the gunan means modes of material nature. So when living entities are in this material world, they associate with different modes of material nature. So there are three modes of material nature that we are aware of: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the living entity, as we associate with this world, we engage in either of these material natures modes predominantly. And karanam guna sangasya sad asad yonir janmashu. Karanam guna sangasya means because of this association with these gunas or these modes of material nature, a living entity enters into different kind of bodies. Sad asad. Sad yonis are higher births. Asad yonis means lower form of birth. So higher births are births in, even in human form of life. You see people born with certain, good karmas. They born with lot of wealth, lot of riches, prosperity. And asad yoni means, even in human form of life, if you're born with a lot of difficulties, trouble, many challenges just to even survive day to day. So this is sometimes we think quite unfair, because why someone takes birth, like when the child is born with they say like a blank slate. What is the child's fault that it took birth in a very uh, wealthy family, say royal family in England, and everything is so much taken care even before birth, whereas someone is born in a remote place where even the water is not available to drink, and they have to travel miles to get water. So this karma, we say this is due to their past karma, and the karmas are built by our association. So the way we associate with one of these three modes of material nature, uh, our next birth is decided. So Prabhupada is saying here, under the influence of material desires, the entity is born sometime as a demigod, sometime as a man, sometime a beast, as a bird or a worm. So no matter where we are born in this material world, Krishna is calling here is in Bhagavad Gita, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So in this material world, everyone is suffering. So we think that if I get better situation, then I will be happy. So if I have little bit more money, if I have bit more better situation, then my life will be much better. But in this material world, no matter who, how much wealth you have and what position you have, this material world is dukkhalayam. Dukkhalayam means, just like in Sanskrit, the library is called pustakalay. Pustakalay means where the pustaka or books are available. Uh, Hospitals in Sanskrit called chikitsalay. Chikitsalay means where there is treatment is available, or you know, like that Devalaya means temple where the God is available to meet. So similarly, Krishna is calling this material world Dukkhalaya. Dukkhalaya means misery is guaranteed. You know, you will definitely, if you don't get anything in your life, any good luck, bad luck is guaranteed here. So no matter who you are bound to get miseries in this material world. So what is the solution? Why we have, what to do now? You know, how to get out of this chain? Now, if we see, there are 8.4 million species of life, and does anyone know when human form of life comes? You know, after which species? Does it come after cow? Does it come after horse? Does it come after dog? You know, because it's an evolution, right? So at some point the body will keep changing from according to the modes of nature, and at one point the human form of life will come. So does anyone know that at what point will we get human form of life?
After the
After
cow,
cow.
After cow?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Lion,
lion? Okay.
that's mode of passion.
Sorry.
From mode of passion.
Okay.
And cow is mode of goodness.
Any other guesses? Yeah, no, so that we can make guesses, but we don't know exactly, and nowhere it is explained. But the Lord, with His kind mercy, gives us this human form of life through breaking the chain wherever He wants, and He feels that this person should be given the human form of life. There is no, there is there is no specific. Your all answers are right, because we, after they say sometime animals with higher consciousness, you know like humans have higher consciousness, cow has very high consciousness, horse or animals like dogs, people say after those lives normally uh, human form is expected, but there is no guarantee that cow in next life will become human. But this life is given by the Lord as an opportunity for us to advance in spiritual life. So what should we do? Now we have got this human form of life by the grace of God. Even in Christianity, they say that God has created man is in his own form. So this form is the Lord's own form, human form of life, and the best form to practice the devotional service. We can chant the holy name. Now, so when this form is given, the first thing that is explained in Vedanta Sutra is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So now this is time to inquire about the Lord. So what should we do when we've got the human form of life? Is to the goal of this body or human form is to attain the Supreme Lord. And how to attain this, how to do this? So we can do this by following the Yoga Dharma, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So when we chant the holy name of the Lord, that holy name will connect us uh, to the spiritual sound vibration, and connect us our consciousness with the Lord. So just like at the moment our consciousness is not pure, and that is the reason we are not able to relish the taste of holy name. We are not able to connect with the Lord. Just like when you have a radio, and radio requires tuning, and when the radio is tuned while you are sitting in London, you can capture the frequency of Dubai radio just by tuning the radio properly. So similarly, by chanting the holy name, we can tune ourselves, and by doing that, we can relish, or we can connect with uh, the higher spiritual realm. So what Prabhupada says here further, is put in different bodies, is explained here. It is due to the association with different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three modes and become situated in transcendental position. It is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another body, because he has material desires since time immemorial. So otherwise, if we the nature of this world is anything, uh, everything deteriorates here. So if you don't do anything, if you put an apple on your dining table for a few days and you go on holiday, or you go away from some for a few days, you come back, the apple will not remain as fresh as it was before. Everything in this world, including our consciousness, is going to deteriorate. We have to push ourselves, our health, our, everything. If you see in this world, even if you don't do anything, it is bound to deteriorate. So our consciousness will be polluted. We have to, if we just go with the flow, so if we engage ourselves in devotional life, if we start our process from hearing and chanting, then our consciousness will rise. Okay, someone raised hand here. Any questions? Anna Mataji?
Sorry, I raised hand by accident.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. So here Prabhupada against, one second, let me close this window. Okay, so the change can be affected only by hearing from the authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the science of God from Krishna. So it when we hear the scriptures, when we hear the pastimes of the Lord, we develop a new kind of thinking. Because right now, there are so many things that we are not aware of. But when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, it gives us a new insight in our life. And then by doing that, by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, we are able to chant the holy name more intensely. So the reading and hearing is very important in our spiritual development. And that's why Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, the first requirement for all the spiritual practitioners is to hear Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and pastimes of the Lord, they are they are not ordinary. Krishna says, Janma karmascha me divyam evam yoveti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. He says, my pastimes are divine. So once we start hearing those pastimes, gradually we develop taste for spiritual life. And once we develop the taste for spiritual life, we can chant the holy name. And chanting the holy name is the topmost thing that we should do in our life. It is not about chanting 16 round and then get exhausted. Kirtaneya Sadahari. We should chant the holy name constantly. We should chant our 16 rounds in the morning, very sincerely, waking up in the morning, you know, uh, and sit down in one place and attentively chant our 16 rounds. But then we should not stop there. We should have some bead bag. When you see devotees in the temple, many devotees carry bead bag everywhere. But if it is not possible for you to carry to go to your office or train, it is not comfortable for you, then you should carry a counter. There are counters available in temple shop, and you can continue chanting wherever you go. You go to Morrison, Asda, take your counter with you and constantly chant the holy name. If you constantly get into the habit of chanting, by doing that, you will feel a great happiness in your heart. And by regularly chanting, your all miseries will go from your life. So why we are suffering? Because we are constantly thinking about some negative thoughts. Someone has said something to us 50 years ago, and we are still hurt and every day thinking about it. Because why we are thinking about these things? Because we are not thinking about Krishna, and that's why we are miserable. We should stop doing that. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that one should chant the holy name constantly, and we should attempt to do that. When we chant holy name, then we don't have time to chat, gossip, bad mouth about someone, think about something that has happened to us, some injustice happened to us. Nothing matters. Who cares? What happened 10 years ago? Nothing is going to change in our life. So the best thing is we should engage our mind in chanting the holy name constantly wherever possible. And what it does is it it builds our stamina to chant more, and it builds our taste. Just like someone who does not smoke, for example, you know in early age, and that person gets into peer pressure. If the friends start smoking, and they start smoking, and first cigarette they feel horrible, they cough, they choke. I think this is the worst thing. But under peer pressure, if that person keeps smoking for some time, even without, just to prove the point that he's not different, wants to be part of the group, after few days or few months, the person becomes a chain smoker. This is a material example, but what I'm trying to say is, if we chant on regular basis and we chant a lot, then we will develop the taste for chanting the holy name. If we chant very little, maybe one round, two round, three rounds, it will not it will not give us the same experience. Just like you want to learn to drive, and you decide, okay, I want to learn to drive nicely on the road, but only I will practice every day only 3 minutes or 4 minutes driving. So by the time you sit in the car, put in your first gear and come out of your gate, that's it. Your time is done. You come reverse and park your car. How will you ever build confidence to drive? And how will you learn to drive nicely? To learn to drive, you have to drive at least maybe half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. The more you drive, the better driver you will be. And the more, you know, the better your driving will be. So similar it works for chanting the holy name as well. So if you chant more rounds, you practice your chanting everywhere. You know, chant your 16 rounds with good quality in the morning, but do not stop chanting throughout the day. By chanting the holy name throughout the day, you will feel a different kind of energy, happiness. Your well-being will improve. Your mental well-being, your physical well-being, everything will improve just by chanting the holy name. And across all the traditions, if you see,
que tú también ves escuchar, Chayo, para que tú y no puedo escuchar.
Hare Krishna, I think someone's mic has.
You
Okay,
can mute everybody, Amritananda Prabhu, if you like.
he just one second. Okay, I think they have mute. Yeah, so uh, yeah, so by chanting the holy name, one can by regularly chanting or chanting higher number of rounds, we can develop taste for chanting the holy name. And by chanting regularly, I was saying that across all the traditions and across all the saintly people that you study and their instructions and guidelines, it could be Sant Tukaram from Maharashtra, it could be Narsi Mehta from Gujarat, or any saintly people, you see, they have become glorious by chanting the holy name. And like Narsi Mehta says in one of his prayer, Rama Nama Su Talile Lagi Sakala Tirath Tena Tanmare. So by just chanting the holy name of the Lord, all the holy places come and reside in one's body. So the chanting of holy name is so important and it is so sublime that we as all spiritual practitioners should make a point that we should increase our chanting. Sometimes we put chanting as our last priority, but in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is not deity worship, not temple worship. It is chanting the holy name. It is not doing yagya. No, it's not doing meditation, silent meditation. It's about chanting the holy name. So we should take the opportunity of getting this human form of life and engage our mind in Krishna, in serving the Lord and his lotus feet. And here, like Prabhupada says, it's very important that we study Srila Prabhupada's books. I was hearing a nice lecture by Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and he was saying that somebody asked him, how do we develop taste for chanting the holy name? Reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And he says, you can develop taste by reading more. He said, by Srila Prabhupada sometimes said to the devotees that the austerity means to study my books at least 3 hours a day. But obviously, that is what he's trying to say is by reading more, we develop the taste for reading. By chanting more, we'll develop the taste for chanting. We normally have this question, how can I chant more? How can I develop taste? But by doing more is the only way. And if we make it simple for us, chant everywhere, wherever you go, then automatically you will see in few days your taste for chanting will increase. And that also nicely leads us to the point that also book distribution is very important service that Divyanam Prabhu is doing. I really greatly appreciate his service because that is very close to Srila Prabhupada's heart. And Divyanam Prabhu has taken this initiative. When he started this class, he was introducing me, but how he has grown in devotional life in last few years, it is really mercy of his Guru Maharaj and mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because he's taken it very seriously, and through his service is pleasing Srila Prabhupada. So sometime we don't know where people find these books and how their lives are transformed. And Krishna is Krishna is the father of all living entities, and he is the well-wisher of every single living entity. So when we distribute these books, Bhagavad Gita, and all the small books of Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, we don't know who it is going to to reach to finally? Who is going to be the final beneficiary? But there is someone who's waiting for that book. In Russia, when there was communism before, people did not know what is democracy. And they would, what they did is they used to write small, small chits and throw in people's houses. The definition of democracy means you can freely speak, you can go out, you can work wherever you want, you can have a leader you want. So like that, small small few lines of definition of democracy, and just by reading those definitions there was a big revolution over the period of time, and people wanted to revolt against the government. So just you can see this is a very small material example, but Srila Prabhupada's books, since Prabhupada's books are being distributed year on year, you see there is a massive impact. Maybe Divyanam Prabhu can give more details about this. But globally, you see so many people are converting into vegetarian, vegan. Now here all in supermarkets you see so many vegan products. So many these shops, high street shops are selling vegan food because year on year number of people are leaving the meat industry is badly damaged in last 5 years. Number of people leaving meat and becoming vegetarian, and we think how is it connected with Srila Prabhupada's book, but it is in all, uh, it is it is an overall effect of these books which are going out. It is doing an impact on overall consciousness of people around the world. So many millions of books year on year are being sold. Somebody must be reading these books, right? So okay, maybe I'm saying 40%, 50%, 60% books are just sitting on the shelves, but there must be some small number of people are looking at it, opening it, reading it. Their lives are changing. One person's life is changed means the whole family gets impacted. They start thinking, they start talking. We don't know the extent of impact this book distribution is doing to change the world. We all want to have a good world, live in a good world, but we don't know how to make the change. But in my humble opinion, this is book distribution is a really important activity that is going to make the big change. So I will end my little presentation here. If you have any questions or any comments, please please share.
Thank you, Amritan Prabhus. So, Prabhus, Matajis, feel free to either send a message directly in the chat box. Amritan Prabhu can read it back to you, the reflections, or if you have any questions, you can also unmute your mic and ask them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for a very nice class. So the question is, this world is Dukhalaya Shaswatam, so it's a place of misery. But and the reason we are suffering is because of being in touch with material modes. We have got this material consciousness, and we are kind of reaping the effect, the karmic effects. But the chanting of holy name also brings relief, even in this lifetime, the material miseries we have. So kleshagani goes down, and it also has the effect of nullifying the sinful reactions which you have gathered, and also the sinful proclivity which you have, the tendency to commit sin. So in that sense, you already are better off starting now. I mean, even if you're not able to transcend the human existence. So I mean, that's just a kind of my reflection on chanting of holy name. So I don't know whether you have any observations on your side to offer as well.
No, thank you for your comment, Prabhu. Yes, it is very true. Yeah, we should start at, I mean, at, Yeah, you are right. So we chanting the holy name, we should start immediately. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Amritananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
This was a very good class. Thank you for giving emphasis on the chanting of the holy names. I recall reading Prabhupada's Lilamrita when he went to America. The way he gave the message of like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to those Western hippies was by way of chanting for hours on end and Krishna Prasadam. So yes, chanting is the process, and it's also said in the Vedas, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way except for chanting the holy names.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Right?
And it's
Confirmed.
confirmed.
So yeah, my reflection is that it's absolutely right that we should be chanting throughout the day, because even when we are working on our desk, we can chant or hear some kirtan as we are working. And now, at the moment, we are working from home because of COVID. So there is ample opportunity to do that as you are working. Thank you for that emphasis on the holy name, which I think is going to be the lifesaver for humanity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your kind remarks. Yes, we can at home at least we can put some kirtan on in the background, or we can chant in between if the work, when we can have a bit more flexible time in the afternoon, spend dedicated half an hour to chant few rounds.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I just wanted to ask you one thing. When we are chanting with the beats. But sometimes, if we are doing something like our hands are busy and we just chant by mouth and listening to ourselves, is that good enough? Is that counted?
Yeah, definitely. If chanting is chanting.
Hmm.
You if you should when you are, suppose you're cooking with your and your both hands are occupied, you can chant just
Hmm.
without counting.
Yeah, you were just talking about some counters that if we are like out for shopping or something, then we can use counter. What are they?
So in temple, if you see, if you go to the shop, they you ask for counter. They are small counters like this. Wait, actually, they have these counters. Can you
Yeah.
see? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you can put them around your finger, and
Yes.
you can keep chanting if you are. So you see, you can't see this if it is on my hand, in my hand,
Yeah.
and I can keep counting, keep chanting even when I'm in Morrison or in Asta,
Mm-hmm.
and that way the mind stays occupied in chanting the holy name. Even in the train, sometimes devotees are embarrassed to take the bead bags because everyone is looking and quite curious to see what's in that bag, and when especially people who are traveling on the train and tubes. So for them, these counters are good. Even they're handy. So sometime you if this is a small finger, you can also drive and chant. But I'm not saying you should. But I'm just saying that uh, whenever you're walking, suppose you're going to buy vegetables or you're going to post office or going for shopping, you can take a counter in your hand. You can keep chanting. That way,
Mhm. So,
you can count and you can maintain minimum numbers. So for example, you're chanting 16 rounds on the beats, then throughout the day, if you chant, say, going here and there, you can chant 16 rounds more, then you can see that you are naturally chanting 32 rounds every day. So that will, just to keep a track that you don't want to, you want to increase your sadhana, right? So that is
yes.
the importance of counter. If we don't use the counter and if we chant only without the counter, then someday our mind is more turbulent and we may not be able to chant so much. And we don't know, we will think that, oh, we are chanting all the time. But normally our mind goes all over the place. That's why some counter does help. It keeps track of our activity.
So counter does count how many times we have done it, is it?
Yeah, so on counter, once you chant, you press one time. So
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, then press one. So
Okay.
108 on counter means one round.
Okay. I see. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So there's one question on chat from Mataji. She says, I have Tulsi Mala on my counter. So in touch with Tulsi beads while chanting. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. So see, chanting holy name is directly connecting with Krishna, even anywhere. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, there's someone who was chanting in the toilet, and so it's like you can chant the holy name anywhere and everywhere. There is no restrictions. The more is better. Okay, Divyanam Prabhu, anything else you want to cover or any announcements?
Thank you, Amritan Prabhu. No, Prabhu. If devotees have any more question, if anybody wishes to ask, it'll be great. If not, no, I think there is no announcement. But thank you for your association and the wonderful session, Prabhu. I think tomorrow tomorrow we'll continue. And this Saturday we have our regular calling parties. We will do that because now we are in the month of Srila Prabhupada Winter Marathon. So all the devotees are trying. There is one announcement I wanted to make for those with the family and the children, Amritan Prabhu. So tomorrow there is a session at 5 o'clock in the evening where there will be some children who will be sharing their experiences from the recent Bhadra campaign, and also how the children and the family together they can take part in distribution of Bhagavad Gita by sitting at home, just simply doing a presentation to their friends and families, and just raising the awareness around this important literature like Bhagavad Gita. So that session is at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So if anybody wishes to join with your children, um, feel free to log in at 5 o'clock. I shared the details in the chat group already, Prabhu. That's it from my side. And thank you again, Amritan Prabhu. It will be nice to have you more often. Please let us know whenever you can come. It will be wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.